The Pledge of Allegiance, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Pastor Jerry Halpin from the North Shore Christian Church. Pastor, would you like us to stand?
Yeah, great.
Stand?
Yep, would you stand with me? Would you pray with me? Dear Father, we thank you for your presence among us today, and we ask that you guide and lead and direct those that our community has chosen. We ask that you give them the strength to make the decisions that need to be made, the wisdom to do so, and the courage to stand by those decisions. Lord, we ask that you bless their families, from their families to those that work and are employed by this community. May you guide and direct each one until they come to your side in their eternal kingdom. And Lord, may you be with those that reside in this community. May by one voice the world look at Riverhead and not only see a beautiful place to visit, but a wonderful, loving group of people that know who you are and know each other and love and care for one another all the days of their life. Lord, again, be with this meeting and guide the thoughts and the voices that are here. And God, be with our leaders and guide them and direct them. Amen.
Pastor Halpin, that was fantastic from the North Shore Christian Church in Riverhead. Thank you, sir. Okay, let's have our police chief, Officer Timothy Murphy, come up, and look, our Captain Smith, come on up for a presentation. Oh, and Mary. Mary, would you like to come up too? Officer, it's a pleasure. I've got to read this. We're going to recognize Officer Timothy Murphy today, and I think the town board's recognized him before, but it is amazing to me that in our town of 35,000 people, we have one of the top police officers throughout Suffolk County. So I want to read this so everybody gets this. And Officer Murphy joined the force in 1999 after serving with the NYPD for 9 years. He's the MAD DWI enforcement top cop for July 1999 through June 2000. He was a Riverhead Police top cop as well, and top cop for all of Suffolk County in 2000. This was the first time an officer from a local police department made more drunk driving arrests than the Suffolk County Suffolk County Highway Patrol and the Safety, or Selective Alcohol Fatality Enforcement Task Force. He was recognized as Officer of the Year in 2000 by the Kiwanis Club. He was Riverhead Police Top Cop 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005. He was the Riverhead Police Top Cop as well as Top Cop for Suffolk County in 2006, 2007, 2008. In 2009, Tim, I'm sorry for this, he lost by one arrest, Top Cop for the Suffolk County.
Did you give us taking vacation?
No more vacation, Tim. He was presented with the MAD Award on July 25th, 2010 for drunk driving arrests, and presented with the MAD Award for on March 24th for 2011. I have to say, this is like greatness in our midst. I really, as the town supervisor, and I think as the town board, you take your job seriously. I think you do a fantastic job for the town of Riverhead, and it is just amazing that we are lucky enough to have your talents. And we didn't know what to do for you because you've received a lot of things, so I'm sure over the years. So we wanted to present you with the Riverhead Town Seal, and we thank you for your service, and this is for you, sir. Dave, would you like to say something before we turn it over to...
Sure. First, I want to thank Tim. Something that really doesn't go noticed here, is, all these awards and all these stats and everything like that, is really, and it's something that can't be counted, but it's the number of lives that Tim has saved over the 10 or so years that he's been here. And on behalf of the board and myself and the residents, we thank you for that, and we thank you for having us, for being with us in the town of Riverhead.
I've known Tim since he was in high school. The first 3 years he was on the police department, he lived with me. This officer is a dedicated officer to the town of Riverhead. I think he's got about 6 awards for the most DWI arrests in Suffolk County. So this isn't his first time. This is about the 6th. Yes, see? So I mean, for 6 years, he's beat out Suffolk County Highway Patrol, the Sheriff's Department, and all the other police departments in Suffolk County to be the #1 person who is trying to save lives in the Suffolk County and in the town of Riverhead. I want to say thank you, Tim.
Anybody else want to say anything? Officer, would you like to say anything?
I've worked for the town of Riverhead for approximately.
You want to face the,
I've worked for the town of Riverhead for approximately 11 years. It's a very professional organization. I'm very proud to work there and be a part of that organization. Thank you.
Officer, thank you very much for your hard work, and thank you for the live stage. All right, enjoy. You can take that. Wait, let me see what's on the other side of it. That you might not. All right, we have a, Dave, is there a canine star, is that it? Oh, no, come on, we got a dog, a dog we're going to recognize.
It's really
Okay. In our quest to try to get a dogs adopted, we have, I think this picks up, so I'm going to just speak here. We have Star. Star is an American Stafford Terrier mix, gender female, spayed, age 2 years old. Star is up for adoption, and look at how cute Star is.
We're gonna have to start bringing dog breeds to the board meetings.
So I'm thinking that there's somebody in this audience that would like to take this dog home. Look how sweet he is. He even likes the town supervisor.
And the press.
And the press. Look at how sweet she is. So Star's adoptable. You can take her home today. We could figure it out. If you can't take her home today, we've got the animal shelter is at 369-6189. Mr. DiLiberto? I don't know. Star kind of looks like you a little bit.
I got one coming tomorrow.
That might be your dog right there.
I don't think he looks anything like you.
So, she's too excited to be out. All right. Well, if anybody wants Star, she's available.
Good girl.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Maureen.
Take care. Bye-bye.
And if you go to steak night, they're always giving the bones out at the end of the night. You could bring that home.
That doesn't look like Star. Star looks better in person. Okay. We have 4 public hearings, so we're going to, let's get on the minutes.
Do we approve the minutes?
We can.
I make a motion we approve the minutes of the March 15, 2011, and a special town board meeting on March 24, 2011. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Giglio, yes, okay. Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
Okay, Diane, applications.
Sure.
Wow, you got a lot of stuff
Yeah,
there.
we do. We have a full agenda. Under applications, we had submitted from the American Cancer Society a dog walk fundraiser at Martha Clara Vineyards on April 10th. From Peconic Bay Medical Center for the Garden Festival at Staples Shopping Center, May 5th through the 8th. From the American Heart Association 5K run ending at Martha Clara Vineyards on May 22nd. From Wading River Shoreham Chamber of Commerce, a community day at North Country Road, Wading River. I think that used to be called the Duck Pond Day, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
That's May 22nd. Timothy Hill Children's Ranch, a dinner dance at 298 Middle Road, that's their facility, on May 14th. Under parade permits, we had submitted from Muddy Angels, Orient Point to Holiday Inn Express on May 15th and 16th. And from the Combined Veterans, their Memorial Day Parade through Main Street, Riverhead on May 30th. From Multiple Sclerosis Society, a bike tour through Riverhead ending at Martha Clara Vineyards on September 10th. Under correspondence, we had 15 letters requesting a short-term moratorium to be enacted for pending Wading River proposals. You want me to read the names? Should I go?
No, I think they're in
that's,
the-
okay. Another letter from Riverhead Neighborhood Preservation Coalition. It's a letter with attached memorandum of law regarding impacts of proposed developments in Wading River. A letter from Ronald J. D. Vito from Harris, Bloom, and Archer. Letter regarding proposed senior retirement community and intersection of Mill and Middle Roads in Riverhead. And under reports, from tax receiver, total tax collection dated March 17th was $64,798.50. Total tax collection dated March 24th, $65,076,357.10. Total tax collection dated April 1st, $65,296,112.15. Total utility collection for March, $262,584.82. Under Town Clerk, the monthly report for March was $9,971.27. And the sewer district submitted their discharge monitoring report for February. And I think that's it.
Okay. Are there any other reports from our various departments or?
Actually, I have a couple, actually. The Riverhead Handicap Advisory Committee is putting on an informational symposium this Saturday, the 9th of April, at the Community Center, Senior Center on Shade Tree Lane. It's going to be an informational symposium for persons with disabilities, both physical and cognitive, and all ages are welcome, from infant all the way up through adult. The full spectrum of disabilities will be addressed. We have a number of people coming to network with those in our midst in our society that have disabilities. We have East End Disabilities coming, therapeutic riding programs, 2 different riding programs, Canine Companion, Dynavox, Just Kids, Sub-County Office of Aging. There's going to be a lot of resources there, Lewin Medical, to assist you and to network with those in your community. And it'll be a nice day. It's from 9 to 12 at the Senior Center on Saturday. Light refreshment will be given. It's going to be a nice day, a nice informational thing. And also the second thing is make you aware of the Riverhead Litter Awareness and Cleanup Day that we do every year through the Anti-Litter Committee. Is set for April the 30th. So it's the Awareness and Cleanup Day where everybody will meet here at Town Hall, get their marching orders and their bags, some refreshments. It's a good day. I think they coordinate normally with the beach cleanup the same day. So it's a good day to clean Riverhead on April 30th.
I think the beach cleanup, May 7th.
Oh, it's the next day? Oh, good.
May
So
7th. I'll
good.
be there for the beach cleanup.
Then we won't be conflicting. That's good.
Sorry, I'm conflicted out on the April 30th day.
We'll be at both.
I'll have to pick up some extra trash. Okay, any other committee
I
reports?
just want to mention that on April 9th, we're having the egg hunt for the children at Stotsky Park at 9 o'clock in the morning.
That's nice.
So anybody with children who want to come down and have a good time, it's April 9th at Stotsky Park at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right, there's different age groups, so you have to check online and see, because I think like 3 to 4 from 9 to 10, and then 5 to 6 are, so check your age group and come on down.
Right.
Okay, any other committee reports? They're not being any, I'm just checking my calendar to see whether that's in there. The first public hearing is scheduled for 2:05. It's 2:05 having arrived and left. It is the consideration of a petition to construct a lateral water main extension to provide water service to the proposed subdivision known as G&Z Retirement Community to be located at Middle Road, Riverhead, New York. Garrett, up.
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Kelleher from the engineering firm of H2M. We are the engineers for the Riverhead Water District. The hearing today is to discuss providing public water to a proposed development. The developer has petitioned the town board and the Riverhead Water District to bring public water to the proposed development. The proposed development is a 3.7 acre site located just north of Middle Road, just east of Stoneley Drive. The development is a proposed retirement community which would consist of 15 new dwelling units. As shown on the map, the highlighted in blue is the existing water main. There's an existing 12-inch water main running along Middle Road. And in order to provide public water to the development, we would need to install approximately 500 feet of 8-inch water main off of the existing 12-inch on Middle Road into the development, as is highlighted in pink. This subdivision, the road, entrance road, will be a private road so in order for the Riverhead Water District to maintain this water main in the future, we would request that the developer provide a water main easement 15-foot wide over where the water main will be installed. This is a slight change to the way the Riverhead Water District has operated in the past. Other condominiums and retirement communities that were supplied water by the Riverhead Water District several years ago, actually the water main was a private water main, and we would have a master meter. The Suffolk County Department of Health Services had changed their regulations because it had to do with the public, the fire hydrants that were to be installed on a project like this. This project will have 2 fire hydrants installed within the complex. In the past, when we had a master meter, any hydrants installed after the master meter would be a private fire hydrant. Then it would be up to the homeowners association to maintain that hydrant. What has happened over the last 20, 30, 40 years throughout Suffolk County, that really wasn't happening. So the Suffolk County Health Department requires now that these not be private mains, but they be owned by the water supplier, owned and operated by the water supplier. So we're proposing here that this water main will be installed and owned and maintained by the Riverhead Water District, including the hydrant. So that's why we need the easement rather than doing a private water main. We estimate the water use for the proposed development at 4,500 gallons per day, based on the Suffolk County Department of Health Services standards for sanitary wastewater flow. In addition to that, we estimate the irrigation use for the property to be approximately 4,600 gallons per day during the summer. The total cost to install the water main and all appurtenances has been estimated at $87,000. That includes engineering costs, inspection, and administrative fee by the Riverhead Town and Riverhead Water District. This entire cost would be paid by the developer. In addition to that, the Riverhead Water District has key money fees, and if key money fees based on the 15 units would be $40,950, and in addition to that, we calculate key money based on the irrigation units would be, the irrigation use would be $42,133. So total key money associated with this project would be $83,083. And that's it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
You said this was just east of Stoneley, the community there? Now,
That-
isn't
that is
Sunken
correct.
Ponds right there?
It's the property just east of Stoneley.
I thought Sunken Ponds backs up to Stoneley. Is it on the other side of,
Actually, if you look
I
at-
can't see the map, so
Okay,
that's why I'm
sorry.
here.
The blue line going up and down represents Middle Road. The blue line on the bottom of the sheet is Stoneley. I think it's Stoneley Drive or Stoneley Boulevard. So this is just east of the property, just east of the Stoneley project.
Is that where that horse pond was? Huh?
Yes, there is one. There is one
there is a piece,
existing.
in
There
the
is one
front with
existing
where a horse
house on
pond
the
was.
property that.
Is that what we're talking about?
I think so. The existing house is already connected to the Riverhead Water District with a service right into the 12-inch
Okay, so
line.
it's a very small piece
Yes.
of property. It's just east of Stoneley and just west of Sunken Ponds.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
So the installation cost is $87,000. Am I correct?
Installation cost has been estimated at $87,000.
$87,000. That would be paid before we start work, right?
That is correct.
And then the key money would come later before they start development?
The town and water district policy, I think it is on CO that they have to pay before COs are issued, they have to pay the key money
The
fees.
key money would come later, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was, Gary, isn't it on the site plan or subdivision signing
Exception.
that we pay or they post bonds?
The key money is usually due as a CO or a certificate of occupancy is issued for each structure before the structure is put into use. However, we have moved towards payment at a sooner time, where in some instances to facilitate any overage
Yeah, I
costs on
think
pump
the key
stations.
money, when I was in the town attorney's office, we stopped the key money at CO. We did that map signing or site plan signing because it was a bit of a confusing effort to try to
It was-
figure out when the CO, so I think the is there anybody here for the applicant? Charles, could you step up, shed some light on this?
By the way, Gary Penzick, Superintendent, Riverhead Water.
Sorry.
Didn't issue this one.
We probably should have swore you in too, both of you. No.
Public hearing, notice permit.
Charles, Mr. Cuddy, I'm sorry. You're an attorney, so we don't have to swear you in. Did we pay it, this is a site plan, this is not a subdivision?
My recollection is that in the adjoining units, Suckin Ponds and Stoneley Woods, that we did pay at the CO. I don't think we paid before that.
Okay,
It's really difficult on a developer to do that. You're talking about a fair amount of money each time.
I know
So
they
with
made,
the CO, he's got the money.
okay. All right, thank you. Did you want to say anything else about this, or?
No.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to be heard on this? No, we'll leave it open then. We'll close the public comment portion and leave it open for written comment until Friday, April 15th at 4:30 p.m. All right, the next public hearing is scheduled for 2/10 having arrived. This is a consideration of proposed local law to repeal and replace the resident RC retirement community section of the town code of chapter 108 entitled zoning of the Riverhead Town Code. Say that fast. John, did you want to introduce this?
Yeah, this is an amendment for assisted living homes. The goal of this amendment to the RC zone is consistent with the philosophy to protect the health, safety, and welfare of our seniors and permit our seniors to continue to live within the community that they may have enjoyed for the entire life, or most of their lives. This goal, health, safety, and welfare for our seniors was expressed in the accessory apartment local law, allowing seniors to maintain their residence and earn income for a space they do not require by permitting creation of accessory apartments. Amendments to Chapter 53 lessens burden to make handicap accessible improvements to homes and businesses. Taxi regulations protect seniors who are no longer able to drive and rely on taxi cab for travel. So this is just one more goal that we are after for our senior citizens, that they do not have to leave the town of Riverhead to live in a place that they're unfamiliar with, that their neighbors are not. So these assisted communities are going to be right now. We have one of the largest senior population in Suffolk County here in the town of Riverhead. And we just have to continue to protect them, keep them, so they can enjoy living the rest of their lives in Suffolk County. And this is to help that out. So thank you.
Okay, does anybody else wish to be heard on this public hearing? Mr. Cuddy, you had your hand up first, so I think the gentleman in front of you want to speak to. Maybe you could be second, and we'll move towards the back of the room.
Charles Cuddy, I have several concerns with this, John, even though you indicate it's for assisted living. The way it's set up is there's a definition for assisted living, but it's lumped together with a defined planned retirement housing community. And when you look at that, you really don't have just assisted living, you have several types of living put together. Yet the problem is that assisted living is what should be addressed, I believe, because when you talk to healthcare professionals, the healthcare professionals say you don't need nursing. We have nursing here. What we need is assisted living. And so I would hope that the board conceptually would take a hard look at that. But I want to go into several areas of the proposed code, if I may, and just talk about them a little bit. There's a section called 108-119D. It's about TDRs. When this is set up, you have two types of units that you're talking about. You're talking about the old planned retirement community over 55. That still exists under this code provision. But then you have a new type of community, the planned retirement community, with 3 different components to it. And when you look at that, their TDRs are set up in a very strange way. If you take the units that are the independent living units, the TDRs are set up so you get 1 free unit, then you have to have 3 TDRs. However, if you're in the planned retirement community, you can build the same type units, but you get 4. So everybody who's building separately independent living units is at a disadvantage. At every 4 units that are built, $200,000 is the difference. So the person that works inside your planned retirement community gets a benefit that nobody else in the community gets. I think that's bad. I think the TDRs should either work for everybody or they should work for nobody.
I'm going to ask you to elaborate. This may be a more technical public hearing than I think some are used to on the board.
Okay.
This has been bantered about, the ratios have been bantered about. Facilities have been visited by members of the staff, and we've spoken to the hospital. I don't know whether we have it right or wrong, but I need to flush it out for my own purpose. So even though I may be an attorney, I didn't follow exactly, is it the ratio that's wrong or where we're putting the TDRs?
I think what you've done is you've put the TDRs, if you had now, right now when you build independent units.
Independent unit meaning a single family detached.
Single family unit,
Okay.
attached. Usually there are 4 units in 1 condominium building.
Right.
When you do that, you have 1 free one, meaning you get 1 unit
Per
to
acre.
build, per acre. You must buy 3 TDRs to build the next 3 units.
Okay.
Now, the way you've set it up here is you've done the old way for the independent units, but when you get inside your planned retirement community, that person who's building there gets 4 free units. That's a big difference, and for the developer who's outside, that's a discriminatory situation. You can't have that happen. It's $200,000 for every 4 units that you build.
So if you're doing planned, which is more of the being in the nursing home type facility, not quite nursing home, but more assisted, you're getting 4 units per acre at no cost.
That's right. That's correct.
Okay. So that ratio may not be right.
I think it's wrong.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I also, if I can address a few other sections, the 108-120 talks about the requirement of being within 1,500 feet of public water and public sewer. You have to have a 15-acre site. It doesn't appear to me, and I've looked at the sewer map, the current sewer map, that there are very many lots inside the sewer district that this applies to, and there seem to be very few outside the district. I don't know if this is tailored for a particular site or a particular applicant, but there are very few that fit the qualifications that you have down here. And I think it needs to be looked at a little bit closer.
I think that my thought on that subject, and it may not be shared by the board, is to concentrate your development in the areas of the town that are already developed, that are sewered. My understanding from kind of doing the same business you do is this county health department frowns on the glass chromatograph treatment systems. They don't want to see them anymore. They want to see everything sewered. So we kind of tailored that in with the theory of let's develop the areas that are already developed and not take the sprawl out any further to Wading River, Aquabog, or Jamesport. But that's a good point.
We perhaps differ on that, but I'll get to that in a minute if I can. I look at 108-118, and this is the uses that are referred to. And I'm not sure how this is being set up. If you have a planned retirement community, and you call it a congregate care facility, that usually you're talking about a life care facility. Life care has the very ingredients that you talk about. They have independent living, assisted care, and skilled nursing care. The way this is set up, though, your particular code provision, you can't tell whether you have to use all of these together or you can use them in different proportions. It's very possible that if you're not doing all of these together, and remember, in a life care community, which this is referring to, you have the possibility of going from one to the other, independent to assisted to skilled nursing. You don't talk about that here. You don't even address the public health law, which really I think controls this at Article 46.
That would be.
But let's say just let me give you an example.
Anne Marie Prudenti was here. Did she leave? Oh, okay. You're getting all this.
Okay.
That's one of our primary authors here.
She's
So
taking in what I'm saying. But if you have these contractually separate, do the people who are going into the independent situation in this planned retirement community, do they get contractually the right to go to assisted and then to skilled nursing? That's what you would do in a life care community. This doesn't talk about that. It also doesn't talk about...
that would be, what that would mean is when somebody buys the 1,200 square foot detached home, that they have a contractual right
That's
to
right.
move right through the system, if you will.
And if they don't, do you make the developer build all the units together? Can he build separately some units so that he could build all independent living units except maybe 2 acres worth, so that you'd end up with perhaps 48 independent living units, and you'd end up with maybe 6 assisted care and perhaps 8 or 16 nursing care.
That's a really good point. I hope you got that point, Anne Marie, because that's a really good point. We don't want to have, as Councilman Dunleavy said, the need really is not so much for the skilled nursing home, but for the skilled nursing home and everybody else. We don't want our residents to have to leave the town because they can't take care of themselves. And so, but we also don't want to set up a situation where we build 4 units per acre and we get 200 single detached units and no
Yeah.
skilled nursing or
very
congregate
few.
care.
Even if you just have 1 assisted care unit and 1 or 2 nursing, you could have a build-out of all the independent. But reverse that around and talk about the skilled nursing, because skilled nursing, I understand, is taken care of pretty much by the hospital in the town and others. But you could have somebody come and build all skilled nursing, have 1 unit left for the independent, have its staff live there, and have 1 for the assisted care. There's no way of monitoring what's going on here, and I think it has to be done. I think you have to look at it a little bit closer.
Well, certainly if we want to meet the councilman's goals, and I think the board's goals were to provide for it's not only to provide for the people in Saddle Lakes and other communities in the town, I don't know why I picked on Saddle Lakes, but some of the other communities in the town, it's also to have the ability for them to go to a facility, send their wives or husbands to a facility such as this, and you're right, if you can't do it, it doesn't help that situation.
And I also, getting back to your point before about where the location of this is, generally speaking, an assisted care facility is not necessarily located next to a shopping facility. And the reason for that is it's pretty simple. The people who are in assisted care and nursing care don't need to shop. They're not going out to walk to the stores. And yet this talks about being next to public services, public transportation. Those people can't frankly get into that situation. They just aren't able to do it. So usually assisted care in areas like this would be in a more rural setting. And I think that would be apropos, particularly in this town, where you could have a serene setting and not be on top of stores and not be on top of buildings.
Mr. Cuddy, just on that point there, on assisted living, these people are not homebound.
No.
They can get out and they can walk. They may need a little assistance in taking their medication or cooking, but they can get out and go to the store and walk. I visited a lot of assisted livings, And they even go out for lunch. They drive cars and go out for lunch.
Well, this-
So
okay.
it should be around walkable things where they can go and pick stuff up if they want, a snack or something.
Many assisted care facilities, maybe we differ in the type of facilities we're speaking about, but many assisted care facilities are people who are what they call in the public health law aging in place. And that aging in place is not necessarily someone that goes out. Now, you can, in an assisted care facility, you can certainly go out. Usually a family member comes and takes the person out. But not too many of them are in a position where because they wouldn't be there if they could just walk around the community. So most people in those
Yeah.
facilities
But I think you're talking about a nursing home.
have some, no, I'm talking about
You're not
assisted care.
assisted living.
I'm talking about assisted living. That's,
No.
I'm talking.
Okay.
So
I
we
visited.
disagree,
They were
and
all
I
over
have to.
Florida. I went down to Florida, visited them in Florida, and these people are not bedridden. They can get up and they can walk. You go up to up west to Smithtown, or to Holbrook, or to Huntington. These people do get around.
I think that most assisted care people need some assistance, and that's why they're in there. But we
Well,
can disagree, I understand.
It's interesting because my concept of this was, when, you know, we put this up for public hearing because quite frankly, this has been moving around since before this side of the board got here, it's been talked about. So John wanted to move it forward, and so it's a tough code to try to get everything together. But my concept of it was they would be more apartment-style living, the way my wife's grandmother was in, and maybe you had an apartment with cooking facilities and, you know, regular like apartment, and then you moved to just a room, and then you moved to the nursing home.
Right.
That's what I thought we were
Yes.
getting with this, but I
Yes.
don't think maybe we are getting that.
I don't know that you are, but let me just make one other point if I can. If you have skilled nursing at this site, and the skilled nursing is operated by a not-for-profit, I think that the board should be aware that some not-for-profits that operate skilled nursing look for tax-exempt status, and so you're not gonna get real property taxes if that happens. So you may want to check how you go about doing that part of the code.
Okay.
I think that when you look at this, there are enough questions that it should be again reviewed and perhaps revised, but I've just raised some of them, so I would at least
I'd
have you
like to
think about some of the problems.
clarify something with you. So I think you object to the 1,500 square feet, the 1,500 feet from the sewer district. You want to expand it greater. Is that kind of the point you're making? That's not all
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Do you have any idea what you'd like to see it expanded out to?
I think that the town has to look, now this is a floating zone, so
No, we definitely are not making it a floating
well,
zone.
it's not, there's nothing here that talks about how you apply it.
I think
It says special permit, it doesn't talk about anything else but a special permit.
I think the town attorney will address it, but we're
Okay.
not making a floating zone.
So you're gonna, it's gonna be an ad hoc thing that you come to the town board and ask to
It
have?
would, well, I'm gonna let the town attorney talk about it, but I think it's going to require change of zones. And the issue really, the 15 acres, all these things were just kind of put together because we had many different versions that were submitted to us. And the town attorney took that, the state public health code, and kind of put it together into something so we could move forward. Where we land, I don't know. Did you have something else, George?
That was it.
Okay, I just wanted to bring those things to your attention.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you're from the hospital, correct?
Yes,
How you doing, sir? If you could
Very
just
good.
state your name for the record and raise
Certainly.
your right hand to be sworn in.
my name is Jay Zuckerman. I'm Vice President for Corporate Affairs of Peconic Bay Medical Center.
Bob, you want to swear him in, or Diane?
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. It's a pleasure to be here in collaboration with the town, and I think the council, as well as the town supervisor, has shown a lot of foresight in terms of the reality of individuals getting older. As you can tell by my own gray hair, I'm planning for my own future. And I think if we look at the efforts of the town to provide condominium-style living arrangements for individuals who are 55 and above, that's the process started about 10 years ago. Those individuals are now in their middle 60s, and in fact, we support Mr. Dunleavy's proposal that we need to make sure that people who want to stay in Riverhead can indeed stay in Riverhead. So we are full support of assisted living. The problem that we see with this particular proposal is that, one, it doesn't fully apply for the needs of individuals who need assisted living. Those people in their own way are active. Those people in their own way can provide for their own meals, and we need to be able to encourage them to do so. One of the dilemmas with the proposal is that it does not require kitchen facilities within each apartment. It applies for congregate meals. And I think more and more that option should be available, but more importantly, we should allow individuals who are able to make their own food, who are able with light assistance of a home health aide or what have you, to assist them in that process. And I think clearly, if we look at the ability to provide opportunities for individuals to be as active as possible, and I think the issue of having them close proximity to shopping and what have you is indeed important, as opposed to isolating individuals. Isolation results in people aging prematurely. So I think what we need to do is to look at facilities that indeed provide a spectrum of activities for individuals based upon their capability. If you're looking at the whole issue of nursing homes, it's clear that the state is wanting to reduce the number of nursing home beds because these other options are available, because of the high cost of nursing home beds and the cost on the Medicaid system. So I think we should provide opportunities in concert with the state relative to this. If we look at the nursing homes within the area surrounding Peconic Bay Medical Center, including our own, we are not all at full occupancy, and I think we need to be sure that we are efficient, and we can only be efficient if we in fact have the ability to have a high enough occupancy such that we maintain an economical situation for individuals who do indeed need skilled nursing facility care.
Okay,
Thank you. My pleasure.
thank you, sir. Yes. Mr. Zuckerman, I was asked by somebody at the hospital, we are gonna leave this open for written comment for 10 days.
Certainly.
So if you wanna reduce any, and that's for everybody, if anybody wants to put this into a written format, we'll take it.
It'll be our pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Bob Zapula. I'm a resident of Riverhead, and I want to speak about...
Could you just raise your right hand, sir?
Could you raise your right hand? Can you repeat after me? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay,
you
I'm
spell
here
the
to
last
talk
name,
about
sir?
in favor of the...
Spell the last name?
Spell your
Sorry?
last name, please.
Zappula, Robert.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm here to talk about the rezoning, and I'm in favor of the assisted living facility. I had a script here, but I've changed listening to some of these stories. One of which is I said that I thought there were 11 senior citizen communities in the town of Riverhead, and I just found out there's going to be another one, so there's 12. Okay? So that's one thing I have wrong. And I also had approximately 2,000 families live in those communities. Now I'm here to talk about a personal experience that I had with my mother-in-law a year and a half ago, where she was living with me in Riverhead, but she lived in town of Brookhaven in Farmingville for 33 years. And there came a time where she needed assisted living. And the first thing you really don't want to do is get rid of your mother or mother-in-law. However, when the need is there, the need is there. Selfishly, we want them next door so we could see them and take care of them. Well, unfortunately, there wasn't anything in Riverhead. It's Greenport, it's Brookhaven, Southampton, blah, blah, blah. Well, we really did get lucky. We found a place actually it was Holtzville when we lived in Farmingville. So we put her there, and it was a godsend. She lived there for 33 years. She had friends. She had a church. She had a familiar surroundings. This made a tremendous difference in her life. Selfishly, I didn't need to want to travel 20 miles, but it was the best thing for her. So it really struck something in me that my life here now is in Riverhead, and a lot of us are. And most of us got one foot on the banana peel.
I've never heard it put that way. sir.
Well, you know, think about it. So, if something happens to me today or tomorrow, I don't want to go 20, 30 miles away. I want to be here. I want to be around my family, around my friends, my church, everything. So, to me, that really struck home. So it really hit me on a personal level. Now, statistically, I'll have to read this, is the Claritas organization, a national company that collects demographic data, predicted by 2014 the general population in Riverhead will grow to 39,267 people, and that 8,000 persons in that population will be seniors who are 65 years and older. In this age group, statistics tell us that 40% of the 65-plus group will experience functional limitations, for they will require assistance. Moreover, Claritas predicts that an additional 55,392 seniors who are between 55 and 65 years old of age will be part of that Riverhead population by 2014. This age group will eventually be added to the 65 and older age group. Clearly, there is a pressing need for an affordable assisted living in the town of Riverhead. And again, on a personal note, she was in an assisted living facility. Her girlfriends came, they took her out. Most of the times I tried to call her, she wasn't in her room. She wasn't never isolated. There were things going, they had happy hours, they were doing everything. The day before, she broke her hip. She was in Foxwood gambling, okay? She was 90 years old. She died at 92.
She's spending your inheritance.
Okay? She definitely was gambling my inheritance. So,
Can I ask you a question about the facility she was in?
yes.
Did she start out in like an apartment setting with a kitchen or something like that?
No, she went from my house to an apartment, which provided either a separate apartment for yourself or two in a room, or that was the second choice. And then the third choice was two in a room, but there were separate bedrooms, one common bath.
Right.
No cooking facilities, because I think when you require that type of assistance with your medication or having a bath or your hair, sometimes even getting dressed, you're not going to cook. You're not going to do that. That's there for you. The cooking facility is there. You don't have to concern yourself with that. It's planned. Everything is planned for you, and you have freedom, and you have dignity. The big word was dignity. So, I thank you for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
No, that's it. Thank you, sir. How you doing, sir? If you could
Good
state your
evening,
name.
Mr. Supervisor. Yes, surely, members of the town board. Keith Archer, Harris, Bloom, and Archer, 445 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York. Just a couple of comments. First, really in the form of a suggestion, and that is to make the ordinance more flexible for potential.
You're an attorney.
Yes, I am. To make it more flexible for applicants that may come before the board. And that is to, with respect to the size of the units, to provide some additional flexibility. I think I heard that before, to allow the units to be a little smaller. I think under the health department regulations, the minimum size unit is approximately 350 square feet. And I think in these types of facilities, in many instances, the units are small. Sometimes there are companion suites where there are one room next to another with a common vestibule, so that there should be flexibility in terms of being able to allow for smaller units. So that was one comment, Supervisor.
Can I ask you a question?
Surely.
Because I know some of this is driven by our need, and you have a vested interest, or the client has sort of a vested interest in this as well. How many single-family sort of residences are you planning to build, or do you think they're planning to build in here? And are they planning to build this all at once?
We are planning to build, this is the, just for everybody's edification, this is the property on Mill and Middle Road. And yes, the plan is to build the project as one project.
Right. But what is the number of, say, independent living? If you have somebody else that wants to address it, that's fine.
Yes.
I hate when I was the attorney and my client that asked me a question, and sometimes
No,
you
I'm gonna let Mr. DeVito address
Okay.
the specifics of the project.
All right,
but
then you finish your presentation.
Let me just finish the other
And then we'll have Mr. DeVito.
suggestion that I have. Again, it's to maintain flexibility with respect to site planning, because this town always does. They really do a fine job in terms of site planning. You've got a great planning director. You know that. But the suggestion is to give the planning board flexibility with respect to the setback requirements. Right now, they're kind of rigid within the ordinance. So the suggestion is to give the planning board, I wouldn't require necessarily an applicant to go to any other board other than the planning board, but just give them some flexibility to modify the setback requirements in their discretion.
Okay.
All right? And I think I'll let Mr. DeVito answer those specific questions, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. DeVito, if you could just state your name and raise your right hand.
Ronald DeVito.
Mr. DeVito, do you solemnly swear to testify, the testimony that you will give will be the whole truth?
I do.
Nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Supervisor and members of the town board. I'd just like to speak about, in response to your question, Mr. Supervisor, the project that I'm planning is going to include independent living units, about 100. It's going to include an enriched housing program. That's a type of adult care facility that's called enriched housing. And those are for the people that are ambulatory and they can get around on their own without much assistance. And then there's an assisted living residence. The enriched housing is going to be 50 or 60 apartments, and the assisted living residences are going to be 24 to 30. So this is a combination that allows for aging in place, and it's a combination that runs from active seniors. We like to have active seniors because it is good for the other people who may have some functional limitations to be able to interact with them. And then we have people in the enriched housing who need only a moderate amount of assistance. And then the assisted living residences are divided into categories that go all the way up for enhanced assisted living, which is a type of facility with very high levels of care. And just to address a point that was made earlier by one of the speakers, back in 2005, the state enacted the Assisted Living Reform Act, and that allowed adult care facilities, enriched housing is a type of adult care facility, to do a lot of the things that previously we couldn't do, such as keeping people who were non-ambulatory, who couldn't transfer, who couldn't ascend or descend stairs. The Assisted Living Reform Act changed all that and allowed us to keep those people and even to do, in some cases, skilled nursing. Now, that's not to be confused with a nursing home. The skilled nursing that the Assisted Living Reform Act referred to is a limited form of skilled nursing. Nursing home is for those who need 24 hours of skilled nursing care around the clock. The skilled nursing that we're allowed to do in assisted living residences is much less in severity. Right? So it's not two different things. By the way, I've been licensed by the state of New York to be a nursing home administrator. I've also been licensed for...
Steve Levy might have a nursing home for sale. You might want to check with him.
I've been reading avidly about it. And I've also been licensed to operate adult care facilities, assisted living residences, enriched housing programs. I'd like to make that distinction because we are in no sense a nursing home, but we can do limited amounts of skilled nursing services, and therefore that now allows people to age in place. They don't have to transfer out unless they need supervision and care and nursing services on a 24-hour basis.
So I have a question because it comes down to what Councilman Dunleavy said in the beginning. Suppose I live in Saddle Lakes and my wife can't, and I can't make it, or she can't make it anymore, but I want to still live in Saddle Lakes. Are they going to be able to come in to your enriched housing? And the follow-on to that is if they don't start in your independent, in other words, if I don't start in kindergarten, can I go to first grade? I shouldn't have used that analogy. My wife's a first grade teacher. But if I don't start in the independent living, will you take people from Saddle Lakes and other places? And also, are the people, the 100 that may be in there on the independent, do they have a contractual right to move through the facility?
Yes. The answer to that is yes.
Yeah, answer to both is yes?
Yes, and Mr. Cuddy referred to a life care community.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what we do. A life care community was first enacted about 40 years ago, and it is distinguished from what we do in that they require entrance fees, monies have to be held in escrow, you don't own or rent anything, you have the right to use a unit, you're charged so much a month, but the entrance fee stays in escrow. It's a very complicated system. So this is not a life care community under Article 46 of the Public Health Law.
I'd like to raise a question. We're all interested in the diversity of the housing types here. That concerns me. You start out with 100 in independent housing, then you half-lifing it to 50, and then the complete health care would be like 25. So back at what Sean said, the numbers don't work. I mean, if these people are going up, you're providing less, whoever, I'm not picking on you per se, you're providing less care, so how could somebody from the outside even get in there?
Well,
just, you know, the percentages seem to me to be maybe off on that.
Yeah, let me explain why. I should have explained this also. My company will also be licensed as a licensed home care service agency. So many of the people who may need assistance will have the option of staying in their independent apartment and receiving care and supervision there.
Got it.
So when you put that in as one of the dynamics here, the ratios work very well.
Right.
So the enriched housing is really for people who come in the first instance without going through the independent living. All of the people living in the independent living will have the opportunity to be cared for by the licensed home care service agency. So therefore the proportions work.
I didn't get your answer to the supervisor's question. If I don't live there, but I need the assisted living, can I apply and will you let me live there if I don't live in your community?
Of course.
And the licensed home care agency could also serve other communities other than the community that you are creating, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And does the hospital do that also?
Yes.
One of the things, and we didn't address this, is there anybody from the Riverhead Ambulance Corps here? Okay. Here's something that is going to be addressed by us should this go forward. Because we've burdened our Riverhead Ambulance Corps in a tremendous fashion with these assisted living communities. And there has to be a community benefit. I mean, we talk about the community benefit, but we can't unduly burden the ambulance corps. And I asked them, but the board, we were together, one of two things, whether we would make you do your own ambulance, and I'm not talking about just transport, but you would have a,
an emergency ambulance service for your people.
Or the alternative, because you're going to be looking, this is a substantial downzoning. I mean, it really is a substantial downzoning. The community benefit the board may turn out to, and what I think the ambulance barn people may, ambulance corps people may want, is an addition to their ambulance barn. And we may, because this is going to be twofold. It's not a floating zone. This is creating a zone and then applying, or the town changes the zone on a piece of property. As part of that zone change, we can look to, if I'm not mistaken, community benefits. In other words, there's a need in the community, you're impacting that need, and we may be looking for something along the lines of working to expand our ambulance district, because 180, by my calculation, we don't have the ability to serve. I don't say we don't have the ability. That's just going to burden us a whole lot further. And so that's something that came up last week, and it's nothing anybody really talked about until last week or the last 2 weeks. So I don't know, in other communities, do you actually provide your own critical care ambulance?
Not usually, Mr. Supervisor, but I've operated 5 facilities at one time. Rockville Center, Plainview, Melville, one over in Queens County, and every single one of them, and every one I'm familiar with. And I've also done a lot of work with other people serving as a consultant to help them operate these kinds of facilities, train their personnel and so forth. I do a lot of that work in my company. And I understand completely that every one of these facilities depend heavily on the local emergency service. And sometimes it's been suggested that, well, maybe you can hire your own ambulance service. I've tried that on occasion. It didn't work very well because the response time wasn't always very good. And that's very important and not a good thing to have. So I understand completely how important this service is, and if I can be of any assistance to that service, I'm more than happy to do so.
You might be, because this is going to require additional ambulance, additional staffing, additional bays. The community benefit the board may determine is we need to do an addition to our ambulance barn, and you know, it is something we're thinking about, and I'm not talking about, I'll leave it at that. I'm on thin ice.
And if asked, I will listen with open ears.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Archer, were you done?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Does anybody else wish to be heard on this? Yes, Ms. DeVito? Oh, well, we'll get you after Mr. Oxman.
Tara?
Do you solemnly swear the testimony that you're about to give is the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to comment on this proposed.
Angela DeVito, for the record.
Yes, and I'm not related to Mr. DeVito, who's just. We may all look alike, but we're not. As I went over the proposed zone use district changes for this afternoon, I was sort of confused and wondered about who really crafted the document. If I put aside all of the curiosities of language, grammar, and punctuation that didn't make sense, I was struck by a disconnect between the stated purpose at the beginning, and as well as Mr. Dunleavy's purpose here, and the ensuing regulations. Article 23 wants to permit construction of high-density living accommodations for older persons and disabled individuals. Not all disabled individuals are over 55. And if indeed the town, at this particular point, is going to begin looking at land use management and zone use district regulation planning with regard to the needs for health services within the town for the entire population, it would seem that this, although it is focusing on retirement community, is a very, very narrow scope, and something needs to be expanded there. I know that the town within this intends to significantly restrict where these facilities can be. And I fully understand and appreciate that zone use district regulations are enacted for just that purpose. But basically, I do hope that when you plan future sites for healthcare services provision, whether it be assisted living or full-scale skilled nursing facilities, that a bit more land use management and planning would be evident. There have been people before me, as well as comments here from the board this afternoon on the various sections, the many questions that are still there. And I believe they support my conclusion, which I'd like to share with you, is that at this particular point, I think this proposal should be put aside so that all of the people you have spoken with, and I'm sure the town board has been very diligent in reaching out individually to various groups. I know you mentioned, Mr. Walter, speaking with Peconic Bay Hospital, but bringing them all together. So all of the questions that have come up this afternoon, those that Mr. Cuddy raised, those that members of the board here have raised, and others, can be taken into account when you finally craft the sort of regulation that you wish to have for zone use districts that will allow for healthcare providers to establish various levels of non-in-hospital services for them. And I also know and appreciate that the thought of rethinking and backing up, as Mr. Densieski always used to say, you know, when we analyze too much, we paralyze and then we don't do anything. There is a real kernel of truth in that. However, it isn't an appeal on my part to have you delay any process. It's basically
I think we're going to recruit you to be on the working group. That's what I'm hearing from this.
Well, no, as a, you know, I am a health practitioner with 20 years
Are you really?
work experience. Yes,
Oh, I
I have a
didn't-
master's in public health. So I'm
Did not know
familiar with the significant negative impacts that poor planning can have on the provision of healthcare services in communities. For decades here in Riverhead, it's not your charge, it's not your, falls in your lap. We've had fairly much helter-skelter planning. Even with a comprehensive master plan, suppose it's been helter-skelter. We take one type of area and consider it, and then we look at another issue and consider it. And what I'm asking is that, and stating that the health care of our town residents is too precious an item to allow some very superficial or helter-skelter planning to do. I would like to ask you to give us the best gift that you can give us and the best governance, and that you take the time to carefully plan future health care services and speak with all of the stakeholders together that are here, all of those individuals who can help assist you with the questions that you've raised. I don't expect any one of you up there to have all of the answers, to know all of these things. Speak with the experts from Peconic Bay Medical Center. They certainly have spent a lot of time in developing what they wish to do, and see where we're going to be with, as was mentioned by Mr. Zappola, about having 2,000 senior families. I mean, I'm one of them. You know, what's going to be here?
You got a long way to go. Come on.
In the future. So those are my comments, and I would hope that we move in a bit more prudent manner on this at this particular point, and don't cut us off with the 10-day comment period, and that's
Well,
it.
I think we're going to we'll hold it for written comments for 10-day, because I think there's some issues, one with the ambulance, the community benefit that I talked about. George raised the issue. I mean, I used the word ratio, but I think you
Yeah,
raised the issue.
percentage of, you know,
I think
what's
that-
independent, what's assisted.
I think there's a
we're
lot
kinda
more
light on the
definition
top
and
end.
understanding that needs to be there, and we also need to do, you know, whenever you set out to provide for and with any community, a healthcare service at whatever level it is, it's based on what you see as a needs assessment. And I am not aware, and doesn't mean anything if I'm not aware of it, but if that indeed has been done, other than knowing we have a lot of seniors. Yeah, we do. I live on a block where there's a lot of seniors.
Was it a need assessment? No, I've met with members of Peconic Bay Medical Center, talked about it. It was interesting because when my first meeting with Andy Mitchell, he came in, he says, "What's your plans for Peconic Bay Medical Center?" I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, this town we're the largest employer. I know that you are the school district, but you're not anymore. We're the largest employer in the town, so what are you doing for Peconic Bay Medical Center as the largest employer of the town to plan around us?" And we opened up the master plan and the town code, and we quickly came to the realization, well, nothing. And this is one of the things that he mentioned. There's other issues, parking issues, there's issues of medical. We've done a good job with medical corridors, I think, but maybe not everything we need to do. So did we do a needs assessment? No, I spoke to Andy Mitchell and said, you're not doing what we need. So we're working on it, but we may not.
No,
it may,
really,
this may not,
what is reflected in terms of, you know, what is actually the volume of people that need assisted care, and what is the spectrum of the assisted care that they need. There are some individuals, as have been described by Mr. Dunleavy, who, you know, live and they go out and they just need someone, for example, who comes in and helps them clean, okay, or helps them dress, but they go out there. And then there are others who are in assisted living who need a bit more. So we really have, I don't think, any handle on that, and hopefully the census, information from the census will help us a bit with that. I'm not sure if it would, but
I believe that the applicant that's before us today has done this study on what the needs of the town of Riverhead are, and has emailed that information to the board members, or most of us anyway. They've done this study, but what I would like to do, there is an immediate...
Is that for seniors, Ms. Giglio? Is that for seniors only?
I'm sorry, you're right.
Because there's a whole population
It's for anybody
out
assisted.
there.
Like we had the conversation when I broke my leg and I needed a place to stay, to have assistance. I agree with you. I know that there is an immediate need in the town of Riverhead, and I would just ask the supervisor not to close the public hearing, because if there are changes after we all sit down and meet together, we might be able to come up with something that will work for everybody to satisfy the immediate need that our residents have in order to be placed in these types of facilities. If we don't close the public hearing and we leave it open, then we can come together, we can sit, we can talk at a work session, we can come up with a plan that will work for all of the residents of the town of Riverhead without having to republish and post and have another public hearing, which is a lengthy time period for that to occur before we actually come up with legislation that will work. So I would recommend that we leave the public hearing open until we can come together with a plan.
Realize that would
That
mean that
works.
every board meeting we'd have to open the board meeting at 2:05 with
If there
this
was
public
any other
hearing.
discussion. But I think more of what
Yeah, but if there is no
I am
discussion, there's
looking
no-
for or towards is not so much with this particular proposal, which is really just geared towards seniors, 55 and over.
You're right.
Okay, but is the fact that, and if we look at, as was pointed out, there's very few parcels of land available that are accessible to mainstream services, as been described, or as desirable, that if they all get eaten up with over 55 services, what's going to happen to the under 55 services? Where are they going to be? Those are going to be people who will have to leave their families, will have to leave this town to secure those services. So all I'm suggesting is that we step back and look at the entire picture and not just a snapshot of it, one aspect
Angela,
of it.
this was not for taken away from nursing homes or anything else.
I
where
understand
people
that.
need rehabilitation.
I understand
And
that.
that's what you're talking about, rehabilitation. This was for, and I have to ask Anne Marie, because she can answer this question later on in this hearing. We were talking about 62 and older, not 55. We didn't want another 55 and older community. We have enough of those in Riverhead. We have 12 of them in Riverhead.
Well, your
with-
proposal
with their-
says
with their homes.
55.
We were looking for the seniors to go someplace after that. That's at 62 and over.
And
That's
I
the
understand and I
That was the
applaud that-
intention
that-
what we were
that
talking
direction.
about was to help the seniors. Of course, there's a lot of medical stuff that can be done with younger people, rehabilitation and that stuff. But that's not what assisted living facilities do around the United States. Most of them are for senior care.
Well, the thing is that maybe we can be,
that's
you
what
know,
I'm
the
saying.
vanguard breaking ground
That's
for
what I'm saying.
new concepts in public health. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Well, I'll tell you what, you're right, it's really 62, it wasn't supposed to be 55.
55.
Mr. Oxman.
Percent.
You could raise your right hand and,
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Larry Oxman. This has been a long time coming, and ever since the master plan was adopted in 2003, I guess, John, you're probably a senior member on the board, and I know that this has been something that you've been trying to do. since you've been on the board. So I commend you for finally, and the board for finally trying to make this, to codify this. I do have several comments. When it comes to, it's not only for the residents of Riverhead right now, it's also for the parents of residents of Riverhead and the surrounding area. From personal experience, my mother-in-law, who lived in White Plains, after her husband passed away, moved down to Long Island, to the Manorville area, to a adult community, and it became apparent relatively quickly that that was not for her. So we went out to find an assisted living facility, and actually I was quite surprised that there really weren't any out here. There was one out in Greenport, and she's now in Islandia. There was a new facility in, I believe, Medford, but based on her income, she didn't qualify. It was you had to earn below what her income was. So she's in Islandia. It's not too bad for us, but it would certainly be welcome to have more facilities like that in this area. Some technical questions. It's my understanding that, I guess the intent of this, Mr. Cuddy spoke about the RC, the retirement community zoning, and what it allows as of right today. It was my understanding that the intent was that if you had 30% of the units being geared toward assisted living or skilled nursing, that there was that you were allowed to have an increase in density for independent living units. So I thought you can still do it under the old code the way it was, but if you wanted to do assisted living, there was you could do a higher mix for independent living, assisted living, and skilled nursing. Brings me to a point about density. The facility that my mother-in-law in was actually an old hotel that had been converted. And I'm not sure why we're necessarily getting caught up on the number of units per acre versus just talking about a floor area ratio. So in the current zoning, it allows for, I believe, a 20% coverage. So why not consider this more like a hotel? Because very often the assisted living facilities are hotel-like. They don't have cooking facilities. They have large common areas, dining rooms, recreational rooms, beauty parlors, whatnot. If you deal with it much more like a hotel, and however, you'll have a minimum size unit, however many you can fit in. So if you can, 20% coverage, if you have a 15-acre piece, that's 3 acres. So 3 acres would be the building. You have 12 acres, well, you probably have several acres for parking, but probably 10 acres of that would just be open space for hiking trails, passive recreation, horses, whatever, farming. So I think that you really might consider getting away from the number of units per acre and looking at floor area ratio. So, and
That's actually a really interesting point, because when you get down to the number of units or ratios and everything, I don't know what works, what doesn't work, but if you're building a hotel, you're dealing with FAR. You're going into a community. In my vision, there wasn't really many single-family houses. It was more commercial building, like a hotel, and
right.
And you'd go in, and some people would have kitchens, and some people wouldn't have kitchens, and some people would just be in a room with round-the-clock nursing care, but not a nursing home. And then we'd ship them off to Andy Mitchell if they had to go to the nursing, so Andy would say, "You took care of us." Sorry.
So that's one concept. I'm also concerned about the necessarily having to tie in. If I read the way that the zoning is being proposed, it seems that you must tie into the sewer district. And if you go back to the master plan spoke about this type of housing being near the individual hamlets, whether it's Route 58 or, it sounded like, Sean, that you were not in favor of it going just to Jamesport or some of those areas, but at least that they were near commercial nodes. But the question is, what if they can't tie into the sewer district? There's all sorts of debate whether the sewer district is at capacity, if it's not at capacity. So if you had it either the option of being in the sewer district or being approved by the health department, because they're not easy to, to get an approval either. So it has to be of a certain size for a sewage treatment plant to work. You might consider that it's either or. So you may want to have it geographically near the hamlets within a certain amount of distance, but I'm concerned about it necessarily having to be in the sewer district. So
Yeah, I think my thought concept was kind of along your commercial concept, and when you think commercial, I think sewer district. I never really considered single-family homes in this, but that's how it turned out, and that's what we're at public hearing on, so.
Yeah, my concept was not single-family homes. It was like you were talking about, more like a hotel for assisted living. So people from single-family homes can come there and be still in the same community that they started with. So I think, and that's why we were talking about 62 and over and not 55 and over. And I think you're right, and I think we have to look at what the health department can put up with and what they can approve to see where these assisted livings, because I know this town needs not one, it needs more assisted livings to help our community. And I think what we're trying to do here is crawl before we can walk or run, and get something so we can start something and then build on that. That was my plan.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree.
Again, with some of the language, when it talked about under 118A uses, it says at least 30% of the residential units or accommodations shall be designated or dedicated to intermediate or chronic care. That's the only mention of the word intermediate or chronic care in the entire code. It doesn't tie into what I believe what you want to say is assisted living or skilled nursing. So when it comes to being precise in the definition so that a developer will completely understand what is permitted, that should just be clarified. Also, this is going to be treated, an application would be treated as a site plan. I believe that that's what it says, but I'm not sure. Again, if you're talking about independent homes, is it a subdivision? Is it not a subdivision? Is it site plan approval? That would be a question that should be clarified. Again, I believe that it's site plan approval. Well, those are some of my comments. I think that this should be done sooner than later. I think it is a dire need for the community. So I would encourage an ongoing dialogue and to get this thing done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to be heard on this?
Can I ask Anne Marie to come up and answer? Anne Marie, thank you. Maybe you can shed some light on my question and on questions that were posed here when this was written.
You're going to ask me first about my error with respect to age 62 for the planned retirement community. That's an error. It shouldn't be 55. That portion should be 62. But just to try to address the comments in the order that they came, Mr. Cuddy brought up the point of, and he made inquiry, was this designed for a specific piece of property? The answer to that is no. If you actually look at the legislation and the master plan, the Residence Community District, which existed in 2003 when we were looking at adopting the master plan, it actually included a provision that the town consider within the Residence Community District expanding that for a continuum of care situation. Councilman Dunleavy and I often refer to this as assisted living, but what it really is designed for or written for is the continuum of care. So you move from the independent to the assisted, and throughout the stage of your life, depending on the demands and your needs. And it's designed all to be within the very same community. Next, there was a question Mr. Cuddy raised with respect to, well, what could potentially prevent someone from building simply just the independent units? Well, the way it's worded is you only get that density, the defined density, if you have a required minimum of 30% of assisted living units. And that occurs in two different sections. Mr. Oxman just mentioned that, the phrase intermediate care. If you actually look in the quote definition of the uses, it talks about intermediate care, and in that it gives a laundry list which includes assisted living, skilled nursing care, and the like. Next, there was an issue with respect to the transfer of development rights. In the original retirement community zoning district, you could obtain additional yield with the transfer of development rights. I mean, I'm saying it very simply, we could all read it for ourselves. The difference here with the continuum of care type community is, under the zoning throughout the town, the minimum square footage for a residential home is 1,200 square feet. That's the minimum. If you look at the master plan in 2003, which went through all the census data, they talk about the construction of homes, it's 3,000 square feet and over. So what Rick, Councilman Dunleavy, and I actually did was we contemplated how could we meet the requirements of a continuum care community as contemplated by the master plan. And what the idea that Rick and Councilman Dunleavy came up with it was, while throughout the code the minimum square footage for a home is 1,200 square feet, in this instance the maximum is 1,200 square feet for independent living. So unlike other retirement communities throughout the town who do not have limitations on the square footage, and they could build 3-4 bedroom units, X number of bathrooms, in this instance the square footage is limited. And so for the independent living units, maximum is 1,200 square feet. For assisted living, I believe it's 1,000, and somebody brought up they desired flexibility in the minimum, and they mentioned 350 square feet. In this proposal, it's 400 square feet, so we're not far off from that number. With the convalescent care, I believe the maximum may be 600 square feet. So we try to use those numbers and test them against lot coverage. And Rick and I opined that after running the numbers several times, that would meet the goals of the master plan and in providing this type of community for the town. Age 62 is my error in the redrafts of that portion for the plan retirement. It should reflect age 62. Next, I'll just, several people had talked about, the demographics and why, and Councilman Dunleavy has been a proponent of this for quite a number of years. And when we were talking about it and he went through the master plan, just to report that in 2003, it was reported that 9% of the population in Riverhead was over the age of 65. And again, in 9% at the same time was between 65 and 74 years old. During that same period of time, the majority of the population was between the age of 35 and 54. Hence, it's anticipated that now and in the future, and for several decades, we, the town of Riverhead, will require this type of facility. I think I've answered everything.
We have to figure out how to take care of the impact to the ambulance too.
Thank you. And Maria, I have a question also. So 30% would be assisted living, then you're saying 70% could be independent living?
Could be.
Right, the potential's here, yeah.
Correct. But a minimum, in order to have that density, a minimum must be 30%.
Yeah,
assist-
I would hope it would be
assisted or
more,
intermediate
because I think
care.
that would address our problems better if the number was higher.
You know, I will tell you, Councilman Dunleavy and I have talked about this quite a bit, and we've each independently visited several different continuum of care facilities. And I will tell you actually that this proposal is probably more restrictive than in other areas, other states. And the goal is, and the philosophy is behind the continuum of care that's expressed in many of these communities is that actually the well-being of the senior is enhanced by being in a community that has all these services and amenities right on site, and that their lives are prolonged and their health is increased, and that the assisted living component really only comes into play as the seniors decline, and unfortunately, at some point in time, they're no longer with us. And so and then the independent units become available. And it's designed so that individuals actually move through the facility.
Does anybody else have any questions?
But I know someone had brought up the point before, if we bring others from the outside in, then that number's not gonna work.
Well,
That 70-30 works within the facility, but the question was, can we bring somebody else in there? That'll change those statistics.
Well, at
So
some
maybe we
point in
could look at
time-
that number a little more.
Right, well, at
Using
some
that
point in
factor.
time, it has to be the developer's objective to meet the demands. It's there, you know, while we, the town as planners, want to meet the needs of our people, it's the objective of the developers to actually meet those needs and market the product or the units properly. You know, I don't know that the town should mandate the exact number of units, or can. It's the demographics, it's what works.
I have a question for the well, it's not really the applicant, but Mr. DeVito, could I ask you a question?
Yes, sir. The microphone, please.
Is this going to be a not-for-profit tax exempt facility?
No, it's not.
Are you seeking IDA tax exemptions?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
I just might mention one other factor here in response to Mr. Gabriel's questions. I am, to be honest, waiting to get more information from the 2010 census.
Mhm.
And that may create a need for more of one portion of this than another. So yes, Ms. Potenti is absolutely correct. It'd be very foolish of us if we saw a need and didn't design our facility to meet that need. So that I'm waiting to get a good look at the 2010 census data.
Right.
To see if I should change our proportions
Right.
of different types of
My
facilities.
opinion, I don't say my opinion, but I think following on what Councilman Gabrielson was saying, the 100 independent versus 50 or 60 enriched and 24 assisted doesn't seem to work in my mind, given the demographics of this town and 11, 12 senior. And can this project work if we do go forward with it? I mean, this is not specific to you. It's for the town, so I want to say that. But can this project work if you reduce the independent, I'm throwing a number out there, to 50 and increase the enriched and the assisted? Can it still work?
It could be, depending on the demographics.
I think we need
But I
to.
also take a view of Conic Medical Center that has a nursing home. And so this facility that I'm doing doesn't have a strictly 24-hour.
Right.
Because the community already has one, I think, that's very well operated. And I would refer, if somebody needs that much of care, I would refer that to the Conic. So it really is an extension of the dynamics that I'm using. And that kind of facility relieves us of the need to have typical nursing home environment within this project.
Right.
We would work in conjunction with the Peconic Medical Center to utilize that facility for people who need to go beyond what I'm providing.
I see you as I see this type of facility rather as a tremendous asset. We need Peconic Bay Medical Center to keep growing and expanding and becoming 5-star facility in every aspect that they do. And this is one of the things that may help feed patients into the facility, and it all seems to work together. Does anybody else wish to be heard on this? Mr. Israel. Oh.
Hi, guys. Richard Israel.
Raise your right hand.
Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give to be the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. I've read through this a little bit, kind of not having an understanding. Charles talked about a life care facility, which I kind of know from Greenport, Peconic Landing, where a person actually comes in, they buy a unit, and they slowly go through the progression of the rest of their life. And they know that they have a place to go each and every step of the way. And then I hear other sides of the town board talking about, well, if I'm living in Saddle Lakes and I no longer can keep my wife in my home with me, does she move to this facility? And I'm questioning, what is she at this facility? Is she a temporary patient? Is she there for the rest of her life? What's being proposed here? Is this a rehabilitation center? Like Jody said, well, I broke my leg and I needed help for a week or two with rehabilitation and the like. So is this a rehabilitation center, or a person can get those facilities?
I think so. I think it is when your wife can no longer live with you, and Mr. DeVito, I'll let you step back up, that she would move into this facility, and then maybe eventually you'd move into this facility, and that's where you would reside until the end.
So it seems that...
Or Peconic Bay Medical Center.
Okay. So it seems that you're very broad in your uses, which is the first time I've ever seen that in our codes. Our codes are usually very particular, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I think what I'm hearing here is that we are in need of assisted living. I can no longer live on my own. It seems that this is proposed that I can't make my own meals anymore, or I want to be watched that at least I'm eating my breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
So to me, that's equal to the assisted living homes that Larry talked about, to say, they're kind of like a hotel setting.
Right.
Person has their own room and moves on.
That's what our goal is.
That's what our goal is.
So I'm surprised that we just don't call it what it is, that we are going to zone for assisted living, and assisted living is this. We have so many square feet, we do have meals, we do have some care. I think as that level of care gets more and more intense, there's a question of whether that person should remain in that facility or not. I'm trying to understand, is this a place that you own, or you're just there as a renter?
Well, that was a question to ownership, and we'll ask Mr. DeVito to come back up.
Right, because, Peconic Landing is and like we talk about single-family kind of separate condominiums here, do they, from reading the zone, they don't get a kitchen either, so it means every day I walk to the main body of the thing and get my breakfast? So it's not giving anybody any independent living, it's all assisted living. And when a person does need that care, and it is very important, I think we try to create a facility for just that. And those are facilities that maybe when it comes to density, we don't need an acre for every room in that facility, and that's why it gets broken down the way it does. But, Riverhead has always been a place where you want to do a particular thing, you're allowed in this zone, you're allowed to do this. These are our rules. I don't see that at all in what's been proposed here. And that you call it a retirement community, I think you're off base and really what I think everyone here is trying to achieve. And I think if you were to call it what it is, assisted living, it would take out all the other questions of, hey, is this a nursing home? Is this a this? The answer is no. This is assisted living. There's probably a very general, good definition out there of what it is. That they provide a particular
amount of services.
I don't know that there is, because this was a culmination or a crafting of several other people's codes into this, so.
Right. Well, there's plenty of facilities as we know them across the country and even on Long Island, and I'm sure they have their limitations and the like. So I think it's very important that we don't make this thing become so general that a person all of a sudden, we're talking about these percentages of whatever. I think we're looking here, I think, just to create, if that's what I think I'm hearing, is an assisted living facility where a person can no longer live on their own, their spouse or their family can no longer watch them 24 hours a day, someone has to go to work. These are the facilities we're looking to build, not one that have hospitals in them or take away nursing beds, skilled nursing. There's a lot of definitions thrown around in here which scare a lot of people in your town.
I think you're right, Mr. Israel. And when we were first looking at this, that's what we were looking at, okay?
Right.
But I guess when you start writing codes, and I'm not a code writer, I just sit there and listen and try to put my 2 cents in, that it widens out to where
The codes we have on Route 58,
Yes,
what a shopping center is versus
right.
this versus that.
Sometimes the real need where it started gets put on the back burner, and we widen it out, and now you get confused with everything else.
So
And I
if you
think
made it more
you hit it right on the nut when you said, let's call it an assisted living, let it be an assisted living, and not another senior community where I can go buy a single-family house and live there and then move. And I agree with you. I think that's where my intention was when we started this.
And you'll see those other, sorry, Sean, but those other life care, like Peconic Landing, there's all the fears of, do they become tax exempt? Really, what are they giving to our community, if they do become tax exempt in this?
But I think you also have to look at, and I'm not a developer. I don't know where the developer, can he make money with just an assisted living? I don't know that. Does he have to add all this stuff in so the developer then can make money? That's not my putty-wiggle, or I don't know anything about that.
And the answer is they already exist as just being assisted
Yes,
living, so
they-
somebody's making money.
So, that's it. Thank you.
All right, I think we've gone the gamut. Just Mr. DeVito, if you could just tell me, do people own these residences? Is this purely a rental or a license, or what is the?
My particular type of project is purely rental.
Okay.
It's designed for people who no longer want the burdens of home ownership and want just to rent.
Okay, that's it. That's all I had.
Just one more thing I think might help to clarify something. In New York State, you can't be an assisted living residence, which is a particular thing, unless you're a licensed adult care facility. For years, and in almost all of the states, the phrase assisted living is a consumer phrase.
Mm-hmm.
So in the various states, there are enriched housing programs, adult homes, adult care facilities. They're all assisted living residences. They really all are assisted living and all have to be licensed. The only deviation from that is independent living. And the reason we do independent living is because the higher levels of care become very expensive because the ratio of residents that can be helped by a single employee, for example, is regulated by the state. And so more people are involved for the higher levels of care and the costs go up. What we do, and the reason we mix in independent living, is because the operating margins for that, there not being any need for care, are so good that it helps us subsidize the other more expensive units to make them affordable. And without that mix, it would be very difficult to make those high levels of care very affordable, and that's the purpose for the combination.
So the trick for us is to get the balance.
That's correct.
Understand. All right. Does anybody else wish to be heard on this? I am going to close the public hearing and leave it open for a written comment, because I think what we've done here is probably not made it. This isn't going to get adopted. This has to be tweaked and massaged, and I think there's some things that need to be done here based on this public hearing. what I'd like to do, Anne Marie, if we could, you know, I know Angela DeVito said that she had something, but Mr. Zuckerman, if you could assist us, or maybe somebody at the hospital could assist us, I know Mr. DeVito has assisted us, maybe let's put together a small working group to see whether, we want this to work. We need this, so let's put together a small working group. We'll leave it open for 10 days for public comment. I need somebody from the ambulance corps, whether it's Keith Lewin or Bruce Talmadge, to be part of that working group, because I cannot overburden that ambulance corps any more than we have. And we'll close it out for now, and it's going to be, we'll leave the public, close out the public comment portion today, leave it open for written comment until the 15th at 4:30 in the town clerk's office of April, and I think we'll probably have a slightly changed product here, and we may have to go to public hearing again. I'm fairly certain we will. All right, thank you very much. That was a very...
I just want to thank everybody that came out. I think this was a very productive public hearing where everybody had their input, and I think we've learned a lot from this public hearing, so thank you.
All right, 2:20, having arrived and left quite some time ago, we're going to open the third public hearing. It's a consideration of a proposed local law to amend Chapter 52 of the Code of the Town of Riverhead entitled Building Construction, Article 2, Green Building Standards, Town-Owned Buildings. This is a code provision. We have to rebuild the building department next door, and this is a provision of the code that is going to allow us a little bit more flexibility in reconstructing the building department while still being green. Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? There not being anybody, let's close the public comment portion of the meeting and leave it open. Oh, and we're not going to leave it open because we're time sensitive. We're going, is the adoption resolution in here? Okay, we're going to close the public comment and the written comment. This is a time sensitive issue, and we'll probably adopt at the next town board meeting. If there's something substantive that somebody wants to tell us, they can tell us at the next town board meeting. Okay, 2:25 having arrived, the consideration of a proposed local law to amend Chapter 45 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Alarm Systems. This is not quite a housekeeping, but the town clerk was charged with, was it collecting the fines?
It's just a matter of who's going to.
Yeah, we'll change it to the police
Permits,
department.
and the police department are going to, let's see, the police department are going to have the authority instead of the town clerk, and for issuing the permits. Does anybody wish to be heard on this? Okay, well, this will close the public comment portion, leave it open for written comment till April 15th at 4:30 in the town clerk's office. Now, does anybody wish to be heard on resolutions? There being nobody. Diane, let's take up resolutions.
CDA, right?
Oh, Chris?
I wish to make a motion that we close the town board meeting and open the CDA meeting. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please. We're closing it.
Wooten,
Yes.
Dunleavy,
Yes.
Gabrielson,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
That opens the CDA meeting, and the first resolution was tabled at the last meeting, so we need a motion to untable the resolution as modified.
Accepts the annual report.
Well, we tabled it last,
I make a motion, we untable resolution number 8. So moved.
I think it's resolution number
And second?
What was it?
Number what?
7, right? It's tabled.
It was, this was.
Well, I think we,
didn't know this
did
was
you
the-
change the number? Number 8 here.
I don't know, I didn't know this was the table.
Is this the tabled one?
Tabled and amended, it's amended, but we had tabled it as resolution.
So we have to
number
untable it
7.
and withdraw it. and do the
Okay,
ones
so
that
this
we-
is resolution 7.
So it's still resolution 7.
Yes.
All right,
Okay, so we're amending this resolution to make it resolution 7. Can we get a motion to untable resolution 7?
So move.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Wooten,
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Gabrielson,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes. And now we want a motion to move as amended. Resolution 7.
Resolution number 7, move as amended, accepts annual report and annual financial report for 2010.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Wooten,
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Gabrielson,
Yes.
Giglio.
The audit committee is satisfied with this report, so I will vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
And the resolution is adopted, and that completes the business of the CDA.
And a motion to close the CDA?
I make a motion we close the CDA meeting and reopen the town board meeting. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Wooten,
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Nice order.
That completes.
Okay, Diane, I guess the first one is 219.
Resolution 219.
21st Century Oncology Sewer Extension Capital Project Budget Adjustment. So move.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 220.
77 K Road, Chapter 54, Budget Adoption. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 221.
2011 Stotsky Park Capital Improvement Project, so moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 222.
Amend Town Board Resolution number 105, Department of Justice JAB Youth Resolution. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 223.
New well construction for Plant 17 Budget Adjustment. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 224.
Extends bid contract for well and pump testing for the Riverhead Water District. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 225.
Grants excavation permit as provided by Chapter 62 to Browning Hotel Properties LLC, so moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, we're gonna get $28,000 for his excavating so he can put his hotel there. So I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 226.
Awards bid for fertilizer and lawn chemical bid. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 227.
227 corrects resolution number 113. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 228.
Just hold on, Diane. What was the question, please? All right. This is the, Ray, that authorizes town clerk to publish and post a notice to bidders for Jamesport Town Beach Boardwalk and Pavilion Replacement Project. The question, where's this money? Is this coming from East Creek?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so it's East Creek.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
attached.
just make sure, I kind of thought it was, but it's, okay. Authorize town clerk to publish and post a notice to bidders for the Jamesport Town Beach Boardwalk and Pavilion Replacement Project. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, seeing this is attached to East Creek, we can use that money for to renovate the beach.
That is correct.
So I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 229.
ratifies the transport of the 1989 Hydra Sport to Suffolk County Police Department's Marine Bureau. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 230.
Authorize the attendance of one police department employee to New York, New Jersey Regional Fugitive Task Force practical training. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Don't get too excited, yes.
Wow. Resolution adopted. Resolution 231.
Appoints a temporary part-time rec aide. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 232.
Appoints a temporary part-time recreation leader. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Abstain.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 233.
Reappoints member to the Planning Board of the Town of Riverhead. So moved.
And second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 234.
Ratifies the appointment to the chairman of the planning board of the town of Riverhead. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 235.
Reappoints member to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Town of Riverhead. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 236.
Ratifies the appointment to the chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the town of Riverhead. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 237.
Appoints a seasonal pump-out boat operator. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
He's brand new.
I don't know that we, is this returning pump-out boat operator, Dave?
I don't think so.
Oh, does somebody
Noah
know?
Gorman? No.
Somebody know, okay.
No, we're not.
Is they gonna get a 25-cent?
Where are we, Diane?
Oh, we're up to George.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution
Yeah, you put up a lot
238.
of stuff. That's literally putting up a lot of
trying
stuff
to
at 10
help
miles
him
an hour.
Authorization to publish advertising for diesel fuel for use by the town of Riverhead. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 239.
It appoints a call-in beach manager to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Unseconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 240.
Appoints call-in personnel for the Riverhead Youth Bureau Recreation Department. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 241.
Extends special permit of Hampton Jitney Inc. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 242.
Authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with Suffolk County Police Athletic League for referee umpire services for the town of Riverhead Police Athletic League Boys Lacrosse. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 243.
Authorizes the Town of Riverhead to direct George Atkinson to remove all litter, garbage, refuse, rubbish, yard waste, weeds, noxious plants, grass, and/or rank vegetation in excess of 10 inches in height above the premises known as 852 Roanoke Avenue, Riverhead, New York, also known as Suffolk County Tax Map 600-107-0237, pursuant to Riverhead Town Code, Chapter 96. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 244.
Adopts a local law amending Chapter 26 entitled Officers and Employees of the Riverhead Town Code, Article 3 and Article 4. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 245.
Oh, I'm sorry, authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with Barrist Elevator Company, Inc. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 246.
Authorizes to publish an advertisement of a request for proposals for an updated market study for reuse and revitalization of the former Naval Weapons Industrial Reserve Plant. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 247.
This approves a Chapter 90 application of the American Cancer Society Dog Walk to Fight Cancer, Bark for Life on April 10th, 2011. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 248.
Authorize the supervisor to execute professional services agreement with Albrecht, Vigiano, Zurich and Company, PC, that's ABZ, for audit services. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
No.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 249.
Authorizes town supervisor to execute a change order number 1 for Grangeville Park Improvement Project. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Wooten. Oh, I went out of order.
I'll say yes.
Okay. Dunleavy.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 250.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with an employee. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
No.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 251.
Authorizes town clerk to publish a post public notice to consider the renaming of the southern portion of Horton Avenue, the town of Riverhead Road, to Caffrey Court. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 252.
Approves Chapter 90 application of Church of the Harvest and as the Sunrise Service East Acon. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 253.
Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post public notice of public hearing to consider a proposed local law for an amendment to Chapter 101, Vehicles and Traffic of the Riverhead Town Code. So parking prohibited. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 254.
Chief's beating up on that church.
Supports the increase of, supports the increase of county bus fare and the implementation of limited Sunday bus service. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 255.
255 supports the increase of the county bus fare on 2 routes for the implementation of limited Sunday bus service. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 256.
Establishes date of annual Riverhead Litter Awareness and Cleanup Day, April 30th. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, and I just want to reemphasize what Councilman Wooten said before. we need all the help we can, so anybody out there that wants to help us to pick litter up can come down and join us on April 30th. And where are we meeting?
Right here, Town Hall.
Right here at Town Hall. So please be there. I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 257.
Authorizes attendance at the 2011 New York State Town Clerks Association Annual State Conference. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
I'd just like to say that this is giving the town clerk permission, and she's willing to share the cost with us to go to this state conference where last year when she went, she learned of several grant opportunities that she was not aware of. And I think that education is very important, and it saves the taxpayer money in the long run. And I'm glad that she's going, and I hope that she's as successful as she was in saving the taxpayers money with this minimal expense. I'll vote yes.
Gabrielson.
I just want to be consistent, and I understand, I'm not picking on you or anyone else, but I don't think the town really can afford, when people are having a hard time putting fuel oil in their tanks to send somebody off on one of these vacations, or
And
work
vacation.
things, wait, it's
This
for
isn't a
vacation.
vacation.
But, and I also want to point out, and once again, like you say, it's not aimed at you, this can be done online, there's no
But you
question
did
about
vote
it.
yes for the 150 for the
No,
police
no,
officer. I'm sorry, you
It's not your
did.
audience, have you voted?
Yes, I did.
So, I'm going to vote no.
Wooten.
I'd just like to be real consistent and, yes.
There you go.
Dunleavy.
I think education and networking is very important. And if you just look at our highway department, for his networking, for about $100,000, he's got about $3 million worth of equipment for us sending them on these trips. And where they don't
Vacations.
spend all the money that we give them, and they give us back money. So to be consistent, I vote yes.
Walter.
For all the reasons stated, I love you, Diane, but no.
Okay. Resolution adopted. Resolution 258.
Awards bid for troubleshooting, maintenance, and repair of Foxborough equipment. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 259.
Awards bid for dry hydrated lime, calcium hydroxide. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry.
Walter, that's a yes, right?
That is a yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 260.
Awards bid for corrosive control chemical. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 261.
Authorizes supervisor to execute agreement with Suffolk County Girls Lacrosse, Inc. for referee umpire services for Town of Riverhead Police Athletic League Girls Lacrosse, affiliated and part of Suffolk County PAL Girls Lacrosse. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 262.
And it's a resolution to pay the bills. So moved.
I'll second. Where's it three?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. That's it.
All right, this portion of the meeting, we open it up to the residents to discuss whatever it is on their mind. We ask them to limit their comments to 5 minutes. Rex Farr, if you want to step up, I guess you're coming over?
Yeah, Rex Farr, Farmer Calverton. I'm astounded. I'm here to try to find out. I'll wait till you get through, Mr. Walters.
Go ahead, Rex.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm absolutely ready.
Good.
Anytime, Rex.
Go ahead,
Okay,
Rex.
good,
Thank
because
you.
the question is directed to you.
Okay.
I'm here to find out, and actually I'm quite embarrassed to have to continue to come down
Don't be
here.
embarrassed, Rex.
I said almost, Sean. to continue to come down here to talk about an issue and to try to solve a problem that basically is a no-brainer. This afternoon, we were privileged to hear discussions on homes for the elderly, of which I'm rapidly becoming one, having to certainly come back down here. But in the meantime...
As you stand there.
Excuse me?
As you stand there.
Exactly.
He's
Exactly.
cutting
I'm
into
going to
your
be
5
needing these.
minutes.
But this, I mean, there's so much that Riverhead has been doing over the last couple of years, so many important issues, that for me to be standing up here talking about the animal issue, I'd like to know some answers. Number one, has there been any resolution to the problem with the head ACO?
I don't know that.
Number two, what happened to the Brookhaven deal? Number three, is there a timeline?
I spoke to Supervisor Mark Lesko. We spoke among our board. Supervisor Lesko spoke to his board. I think the issue and what Mark and I sort of agreed to do is wait until the fall to continue the conversations, and they are looking to try to build a regional animal shelter, and it would be a state-of-the-art facility. I really have to commend News Review on Mike White from the News Review. He did an analysis of all the shelters, I think, in the 5 East End towns and Brookhaven, and you know, you may not believe it, you may not want to believe it, but Riverhead has the lowest euthanasia rate in all 6 towns and has the lowest per capita operating costs of all 6 towns. So I see that really, Mike White did a wonderful service to us, because I knew we were doing a good job, and now I know we're doing a good job because the proof are in the numbers. That being said, there are weaknesses in the shelter, and I think if Brookhaven is able to figure out how to put together this sort of regional facility, and I think they're going to be looking at some other towns to deal with the regional facility, that we as a board, the majority of the board, are interested in working with them. It's a numbers game. We have to see whether the numbers work, but nothing is going to happen probably until November, because they've got to get through the end of their budgetary year, figure out where they are, and we have to do the same. I also had a conversation with Supervisor Scott Russell on the same issue to see whether he had any interest in doing a regional approach, and at this point they're not interested. In fact, Supervisor Russell's words were, "We can't take your pit bulls." So, you know, I don't know that we can do anything with Southold. I think the most promising thing is in Brookhaven with this regional shelter. I'm not saying we'd close ours down. The concept that the 2 boards have come up with is that ours would be open for the 7-day hold period. I'm sure dogs would stay there 2 weeks or longer, and then they'd wind up going to the state-of-the-art facility. So that's the update with Supervisor Lesko, and that actually conversation happened at 1 o'clock this afternoon. What was the other question? Did I answer all your questions?
No.
What was the other one?
The timeline for the either dismissal or moving to a different department, the head ACO, which is actually the problem.
Well, I mean, it's a personnel issue. There are several. We had a retirement incentive, and several people have put in papers for the retirement incentive, and I'm not unsympathetic.
What I don't understand, Sean, is, and I think...
Rex, can you let me finish? I'm not unsympathetic to what you're asking. It's just a question of trying to get the timing right and work everything out. So it is moving in a direction where I think that you guys may be happy, but you know, we've got to put all our ducks in a row to make sure that everybody's happy.
No, I understand when dealing with civil service that we have to make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. But what I don't understand, Sean, is that 4 members of your board have given me their word that they would follow Jim's lead on recommendations for the solving of this problem, the personnel problem. Number 2,
well,
3 out of your 4 board members, and I haven't confirmed this with George, but George did give me his word that he would follow Jim's lead, do not recommend that Brookhaven is a solution. So now you're asking us,
No, Rex, that's not accurate.
Well-
I'm sorry, that's not accurate.
if I ask for a show of hands as to the solving of the problem.
Rex, we're not going to have a show of hands,
Well,
but I can
of course
tell
we're not,
you,
because
Rex,
we've been-
I can tell you, as a fact, there are 3 members of the board that have said that if everything works out and we can do a partnership with, not a partnership, but an intermunicipal agreement with Brookhaven to give our dogs the best shelter they could possibly be in without having to spend $4 million on a new shelter, I can guarantee you there's 3 members of the board that'll do that.
Right.
But it's, it's one of these things
Well, first
that-
of all, the animal community has not come to the town of Riverhead, okay, to ask for money to build a multi-million-dollar dog shelter. We are simply trying to solve the problem. The problem starts at the head. The head ACO is in a job that he's not qualified for. I know he passed all these tests, and I know he's a personal friend, Sean, but he lied to you. He's under investigation in 2 different states. He has worked for the town of Riverhead without a driver's license, and his job, let me finish, his job description is to pick up animals. Now, how can you go around driving? Sean,
Rex,
I told you I would shut up for...
I'm not going to discuss personnel issues. Now, if the ACO
I'm sorry,
doesn't have a driver's license, that will be addressed. But this is not the place, Rex, for
The
that.
place, excuse me, there doesn't ever seem to be a proper place. I'm
personnel
simply
issues, not here.
asking you why the problem hasn't been solved. Not only 4 months after he committed a crime, illegally killing a dog and lying to you, I might add, okay? But we've been dealing with this problem, and you know because you were the town attorney under Cardinelli when the committee was formed in 2005. Again, I'm embarrassed talking about this no-brainer when all of the good work and all of the work that the town of Riverhead has to do. Here we are talking about an issue that doesn't involve money, doesn't involve loss of seniority, doesn't involve loss of pay.
Rex,
What's the problem?
Can you do me a favor, and on your way out, can you speak to the police chief about
About what?
the allegations you just made?
These were put in the paper, Sean. These
No,
aren't my
come on,
allegations.
Rex,
This was in the
come
paper.
on. If you have something significant that somebody is violating the law, not what's written in the paper, if you have something significant, you can give it to
I
us.
think there's a member of your
If-
board, Sean.
If it is just personnel allegations, Rex, we
It's
can't
not
do that.
personal. It's not personal. Okay.
Personnel.
Personnel, and it's not personal.
Oh,
It's
didn't say
okay.
it was.
And I think there is paperwork that not only came out in the paper that you have here in Town Hall that will substantiate what I've just said. I'm not making
I've not seen
allegations. And it's not the police chief's job. This is your job to solve the problem.
No,
You
no,
are the
Rex.
head man here.
Rex, it
Sean,
is
it's-
the police chief's job if somebody is driving without a license. That's the police.
Every
department's
member
job.
of your board recommends that we solve the problem. There has been a solution proposed to you. You're the only one that seems to think this is not a proper solution. You're hiding behind, let's go to Brookhaven, let's talk to Southold. You didn't mention privatizing. I'm not going to say any more because we will address, by the way, the numbers.
Well,
Okay,
let
this
me
afternoon.
say something,
The
Rex.
numbers about euthanasia and all that.
Rex.
Again, yeah, sorry, Jim.
I just say, I did talk to Mike White at length about the article he's doing. And Riverhead does have a pretty good low kill.
Yeah,
But we have to,
it's
I
getting
mean,
better.
I know it's because of the fact that we do have volunteers here. RSVP takes a lot of our dogs. When our dogs get on the chopping block, they really do step up to the plate. So
Right.
I thank RSVP for coming in and doing that and working with our dogs. Sometimes one falls beneath it and it has to be taken out. But Riverhead fought animosity seems to be up there, and rub seems to be up there a lot of times. It still works pretty well. You guys are tough. So I think there is better solutions to the community shelter than trying to outsource the whole thing. I'll discuss it more with the supervisor.
Has Mr. Knesset been informed that there
Mr.
are
who?
certain things on out there in his file? Has he been approached to say, please step aside? Have you talked? Has the board even? I've been
You have to
told by
excuse me.
each of you.
John's going to run the meeting for a minute. You got to excuse me.
Oh, there's a line there, ladies and gentlemen.
Well,
has the board actually brought this up for resolution? Each of you, the 4 of you, have given me your word. You're saying that you will back Jim's
Yes,
suggestion.
but since that suggestion, other variables have come into play. Things
Look,
change,
how do we-
Brookhaven,
how do
whatever.
we as a
So other
community
things
get-
have come into play that have to be considered.
Right, George, how do we get this to be resolved?
Well, I'm just
Are we
saying
going to
the
sit
other
back here
issues-
for another 6 months?
Well, there was
Sorry to
assurances,
take up so much
you know,
time,
George,
guys.
and we all were there. There was assurances made that there would be some transfers made.
Right,
And
that's
that's-
what we thought back in December.
Well, I still hear.
I know,
still hear it
Jim.
every-
I
every
want to thank
Thursday
you
or-
and Jody, and I
So-
know John and George. You know, we've had conversations.
No,
I know you're trying to
I don't wanna go
resolve
back and
this.
forth for you, because this isn't the place for it, but yes, but we have to follow civil service rules, we have to have openings, and this is the things that we're waiting for. And like the supervisor said, people are retiring, so we'll get places that we may be able to transfer certain people to. And that's what we have to look forward to, is this is not gonna, we're not gonna solve this problem overnight. It's gonna
No,
take
but
us a
6
little-
years
it's
isn't
gonna take
exactly
us a little
overnight.
while
No.
To follow all the steps so we can do this.
I understand about crossing T's and dotting I's, and
That's
you know,
what this is
and
for.
I appreciate it. I certainly don't want to expose Riverhead to any kind of lawsuits, dollars and cents.
Right.
We're broke
They-
enough as it is.
I
We
mean,
don't need
you
to
know,
be spending money
We can
in
transfer
this area.
someone and they can sue us, and next thing you know, we're paying them back pay or something. So let's cross.
Well, what
the
about
T's,
putting
dot
him
the
on
I's.
paid vacation? I mean,
Well,
the fact that he's
any-
still
anything
sitting
like
in
that,
his
Rex,
office.
Anything like that, Rex, would have to be a bargain for disposition with the union anyway. But
Are you asking the community, Jim, now to sit back and wait until November?
no,
to,
I'm not.
You know,
No.
I'm just trying to.
No, because you know what my solution is.
I
don't
know
think a
you.
dog
I know
catcher should be
exactly,
running
and
the shelter.
all of your
That's it.
members agree with your solution. I don't understand what the problem is. That's a 4-to-1 vote.
Thank you.
What happened in Riverhead? I mean, in Hempstead. Think about that. The lady was literally moved within 24 hours after a story was broke. Why are we different?
Right.
I don't get it.
Thank you, Rex. Next, please.
Hi, my name is Sue Hanson. I'm from Rocky Point. Once again, I'm here to comment on the animal shelter. I just want to make one comment with regard to the euthanasia rate. That's absolutely correct. The euthanasia rate in Riverhead is very low, and that is no accident.
Nope.
That's the direct result of volunteers being allowed back in the shelter as the result of a resolution that was passed in the end of 2005. You look at the euthanasia rate before that, you'll see quite a different picture.
No, we thank the volunteers.
Okay.
Thank you.
3 weeks ago, I spoke at a town board meeting. Supervisor Sean Walter had stated in February that he needed a 30-day grace period to correct the problems plaguing the shelter. It is now 39 days since then. Despite egregious errors in judgment, despite employees undermining, disregarding, and violating, I repeat, violating, local Riverhead resolutions designed to protect the animals in their care, despite reports that an ACO blatantly lied to the supervisor in order to gain authorization to kill a dog, business as usual continues. This is your Riverhead animal shelter. At the town board meeting 3 weeks ago, I theorized that the reason the animal control officer was not relieved of his duties at the shelter was that he acted with the full knowledge and approval of his superior, Chief of Police David Hagemiller. No one challenged that. In fact, a man who I believe identified himself as Sergio Diaz, a labor relations specialist, spoke after me in defense of Lou and essentially substantiated my theory. He stated words to the effect that Lou did what his supervisor told him to do. Let me repeat that, because I found that statement to be devastating, even though no one else seemed to notice or thought much of it, because none of the news reporters from the Riverhead News Review, the Riverhead Local, the Riverhead Patch, or Newsday thought it was worth printing. Sergio Diaz, a labor relations specialist, spoke after me in defense of Lou. He stated words to the effect that Lou did what his supervisor told him to do. Apparently, Mr. Sergio, being a labor relations specialist, has more knowledge of this matter than the rest of us, and is not reluctant to say so. But this opens the door to more questions. Did Lou's supervisor tell him to ignore the local resolution? Did he tell him to lie to the town supervisor in order to gain approval? Or did he just tell him to kill the dog? And I might add, Mr. Sergio said this. Lou did what his supervisor told him to do. He said this as if that made everything all right, as if now it was justified, and absolved the ACO of any wrongdoing. It doesn't. And if Mr. Sergio's statement is true, then this is unconscionable. That the chief of police, the highest officer of the law in Riverhead, would do that. I can't understand how a situation like this is tolerated and allowed to continue. I feel as though I'm in the George Orwell novel, 1984. Do any of you have a conscience? Does anyone involved with this, including the town board, know the fundamental difference between right and wrong? It is now 9 days past the supervisor's requested grace period to resolve the issues at the shelter. It's been over 3 months since Bruno was killed. It's been over a year since Butch, do you remember him, the meatball dog? Since he was killed. And it's been 15 years that people have been asking for change, and still it has not come. There is no denying there is a problem, but the failure to correct it is equally disturbing. The supervisor made a fatal error when he authorized the death of an innocent dog. And Sean Walter may think he has what it takes to make the tough decisions, but his actions, and now his inaction, tell a different story. Sadly, it appears that the leadership in this town is part of the problem and not part of the solution.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Connie Farr, and I want to read this letter that was...
Pick the mic up, please. There you go. There you go. Susan.
This is a letter that is from some concerned citizens. This is a sad tale, a dog's tale, or the treatment of a shelter dog in the town of Riverhead. Star, whom you just met earlier today, was received at the Riverhead shelter on December the 18th, 2010. She was an unspayed female who happened to be in heat at the time, so she was placed in isolation. She was also restricted from any social interaction with staff or volunteers and not allowed to go outside or to be walked. On January the 5th, Lou Cornisi, the ACO, had her seen by a veterinarian. He was informed that she could be in heat for several weeks, maybe even a month. He was advised to wait 2 to 3 weeks after her heat to spay her. Early surgery is very risky. There's much bleeding and pain. He chose to disregard these facts and arranged for her to be spayed 10 days after this appointment. After the surgery, he was then told to keep her calm and quiet for several days to allow for healing and time to de-stress. Again, this advice was ignored, and in less than 24 hours, she was adopted. In pain, she was sent to a strange home in another dog's territory. Of course, there was a dog fight. Star was returned to the shelter the next day. This is another example of the ignorance concerning animal care by the person in charge of the shelter and the life and well-being of our homeless, lost, and abandoned dogs. They deserve better. We deserve better. Star deserved better. She was treated in a cruel and inhumane way. Is this the way our tax money is spent to run the Riverhead shelter? This is just one of the many stories that have been documented concerning the care and the well-being of these animals. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the town
All
board
in
meeting.
favor? Aye. So moved.